Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode. I'm back with Gubbi today. So Gubbi is a rapper, and I think Bangaloreans would know him. And yeah, a lot of different thing, and people who listen to Kannada rap will know him, or maybe different people would know him from different because of different reasons and a lot of different stuff. So again, Gubbi, thank you very much for being here. It's my pleasure to have you. We were looking for this conversation for a while. At lastly, we
Yes.
had time in our schedules, and we are doing it. So again, thank you very much for being here. It's my pleasure to have you.
Thank you, Lakshit, for having me. I think it's going to be a very interesting conversation with you. Thank you, first of all. I don't know how you came across my profile, but when you said podcast, I was like, let's do it. But we had like time difficulties as to figuring out when to do it. But
Yeah.
finally, here we are.
We are. So why don't you start introducing yourself and what you do and all those stuff.
Okay, so my name is Karthik Gubbi. Gubbi is my surname. It's also a name of a place. So I used to. I'm a musician. I've been rapping for about a decade now.
Okay.
It started off with text battles on Orkut, if you remember the social media site Orkut. So I
Yeah,
think about
yeah,
in
yeah.
the year
Hmm.
2006, I think uh, I got introduced to rap music, I think quite early when I was in my seventh grade or something, but then never really got interested in it. But I think in 2005, when I watched the movie 8 Mile, I think things changed for me because I was going through so-called a heartbreak,
Okay.
one of those immature things. I think most of the guys have this thing, and then you start. Then I happened to watch the movie 8 Mile, and I was like, okay, there are people who go through some real things in life. This was like nonsense. What am I cribbing about? I think that's when interest about rap got triggered, and Eminem is my biggest influence. So it started with that, and it was a cool thing to do. Eventually, it became a vent for me like most of the artists. And I was taking part in text battles on Orkut. And it happened for a couple of years. Then people eventually moved to Facebook and people started making songs. So I used to have the stage name called Carnage with a K because I was into text battles. It made more sense. Then Kannada rap happened as an experiment in 2011, 10 or
Okay.
11. And at that time, I still did a couple of songs with the stage name Carnage, but people couldn't really relate to the name. So at that point of time, people were also calling me Gubbi because it's my surname,
Hmm.
right? What better? So, I mean, what better than having your own name as your artist name? So I changed my artist name to Gubbi. And Kannada rap was also an experiment because I think at that point of time, there wasn't really Kannada rap. There wasn't really rap in Kannada. So it happened as an experiment and it clicked. It helped me discover my own style because when I used to rap in English, I used to sound a lot like Eminem. And I think that happens a lot with artists when they listen to certain artists they start sounding like them. But with Kannada, the thing was that I didn't have any reference point to start off from, so I had to figure out a sound for myself, and that helped me figure out my sound for English as well. So it worked the other way then. I was doing a day job. I think it's been 2 years since I am a full-time musician,
Okay.
and yeah, it's been an amazing journey, especially the last 2 years.
Hmm. Okay. Okay. Great. Again, thank you very much for introducing yourself, and giving that
Yeah.
crisp thing. So
It wasn't
how
really crisp.
yeah, it's okay, it's all fine. It was kind of crisp though anyway. So
Right.
before as you said, you were in a kind of heartbroken and things like that. So
Right.
so how did you how was how were those feeling that time to you, and how did it trigger to you ki chalo, now will I have to do something else, something, you said I got interested in rapping. So what
Right.
triggered that moment, because of the heartbreak, all those stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I kept on sulking for no reason. It wasn't really a heartbreak. I think what I have observed, and I still observe in a lot of teenagers, is that if they like someone and if that someone doesn't like them back, uh, it's very hard for them to come to grips with it. And I think I was the same
Okay.
too. So and I kept on thinking that, okay, my whole world is come down and stuff like that. And it was just an accident. The movie 8 Man was coming on TV, which is loosely based on Eminem's life, right? So I watched the movie, and in that, he gets bullied, he gets beaten up, and all these things. And that's when I was like, okay, people go through some real thing. And then I got to know that it is loosely based on his life, and those are things he went through. So I got inspired, like, hey man, what is this? What is this art form? So it started as an inspiration. Then it was a cool thing to do because I started listening to rap music. And I think back in 2005 6 there wasn't much rap music exposure, I think. And we used to listen to music on CDs. There wasn't
Yeah.
really proper internet
Yeah.
connection.
Yes. I
Right.
just remember those days too. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it became a vent mainly. I think I started looking more within myself, or like more inwards kind of a thing.
Okay.
That helped me figure out all my teenage drama years and all the teenage angst and all that stuff.
Yeah. Okay, great. So how about those initial days of exploring yourself? As you say, again, I never used Orchid, and how it worked, and never know it. Even today, I don't know how it was and how it used to work. But in
Yeah.
those days when you used to do a writing battle on it. So how did you how were the initial days of you creating those kind of raps and writing those writing those things up? um how did you write rap in those days, and how do you see of course you would have been changing from that point, and today you'll be really different the way you write and way the things you do. But
Right.
what do you how did you write in those days, and how did you start writing, and what are the differences you see in your writing of rap that time and today?
Okay, I think then when I just started writing, initially again I started off with learning songs, just learning songs, and then you realize that there is a lot of rhyming that happens. That's the first thing that you figure out. So the first thing I started doing was trying to write rhymes, which were just like, if there were two lines, they had no relationship. I was just randomly rhyming, like someone got a. I remember this one very vividly because it's probably the stupidest one I've written.
Okay.
Someone got a brand new Hummer. I know what you did last summer. I think that was one of the first initial rhymes that I wrote.
Okay.
And I used to just write these things down, and then started writing raps for friends and stuff like that. And text battle was something very new for me that time. And I saw these kids. Only thing what we could do with Orkut was whoever our opponents were, we could go check out their profile or their scrapbook or wall, what you can call now, and they had testimonials and about them and the kind of pages they follow. So we had to take information from that
Okay. Okay.
and write a diss for the battle. So we would be given like a day's time. That's when we would come up with personal disses for these people. And I think um, in that process, right, I think now when I think about it, uh, I figured out that if you have to write a song or write anything, researching about it becomes very important.
Hmm.
So I think
Okay.
it started off like that, and over time I figured out that okay, it's not just end rhymes. There are internal rhymes. Then there are metaphors, similes. Then you can have references that you can add into it. So I think eventually it started off like that. Then slowly, started listening to other rappers too, and then there was a phase where I was like, rap, everything else sucks, and then that also I grew out of it, and I realized that okay, I want to be a musician and not just a rapper because
Hmm.
I'm trying to write songs, and uh, I think with time I think I'm matured as an artist, and now when I sit to write, if it's a new topic, I do my research before I start writing, or if I am also a freestyle artist, so with freestyling I figured out how freestyling can help written raps and all these kind of stuff. But I think when I look back and when I hear myself, I think it is hell. I used to sound like shit.
Okay. Okay. Mm-hmm. Fine.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. Okay. So how good English class was it when you were trying to write raps? Because as you said, you had metaphors and you have all those different stuff. How
Right.
did how was the English class going that time? Uh, Yeah.
Actually, you know what? It's a good question. Ironically, I wasn't really great in with English. I wouldn't really speak so fluently and stuff like that. When I started listening to raps, I started looking for meanings of words.
Hmm.
Started looking for all these things. I think rap helped me pick up more English than my school did.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. Yeah. So again, Gubi, so why how did you uh like what would what how do you pick up topics and things to write on, key. I have to write on this and I have to write on this. How do you write those? How do you make rhymes? And what are your main genres? I think in rap also, there would be a lot of I never know because I never explored and I never have. I really listen less to music
Oh
of
yeah.
today, a
Okay.
very very less of music of today. I'm more
Okay.
into the bhajans and folk songs of
Oh wow.
yeah. So yeah, this question is, what are the genres and how do you make raps, and what are your main um ideas ki iske upar likhna hai and I have to write on that stuff and this stuff and on this topic and like that. Yeah.
Okay, I think in rap there is a big section of rap which is called conscious rap, which is talking about either creating awareness or about things which are generally not spoken about. Like for example, I think last year there was an incident which happened in Tamil Nadu because of police brutality. A father and
Yeah.
a son
Son.
died,
Yeah.
right? Uh, Felix. So I wrote about that. So I think that just triggered me. Like I I don't actually see the news. I am like somehow end up get because like when you look at news now, it is very disturbing. There's nothing positive about news,
Yeah.
and for whatever reasons they do what they do, right, for TRP and all that stuff. So, but these are certain things which just trigger you, and I think conscious rap is always what I go back to because I think I always want to talk about things which are not spoken about or not spoken about enough. Right. So I think that is one thing which I always keep going back. But off late, I've been experimenting with other stuff like a little more on the pop side and little more on. I'm basically trying to break out of my comfort zone. Like I did a funny rap recently. Like it's called comic rap. So I tried that, and but I think my tendency is always going back to conscious rap.
Hmm. Hmm. Okay. Okay. What were what were those, everyone has those initial days while creating anything, as I am a podcaster. I had I was always speaking in my school, and speaking, being on the front of stage, and always doing anchoring and stuff. But when it came on
Nice.
camera, I was unable to perform, when if people watching this, if they go and watch my first episode, I was scared of speaking. I didn't know the sense to sit. I knew nothing. So what were those
Right.
kind of stuff with you when you started initially with rap? What were the things you you know you were doing battles, but then you started getting into Facebook, and then started making your videos. So what were those initial days, and how things were with you making things and doing things? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's interesting that you said when you were a kid or when you were in school, you used to, anchor and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It was exactly the opposite for me when I was in school. I was a shy kid.
Okay.
And like similar to you, when I was suddenly put on the spot where uh, I had to be in front of people. I think the first time was in 2006 or 2000, yeah, 2006, right? They conducted a rap battle in our, not really a battle, like a written rap battle in our college
Okay.
in PU. And in fact, we initiated the whole thing and we said we wanted this thing and stuff like that. I think at that point in time, I was more excited than nervous. But then I think a year or two later, when I had to perform, right, for a crowd, I was like hella nervous, and I was like, I would be like, what if I forget this? What if I forget that? And I would shiver and stuff like that. And I think I eventually figured out it is more about having fun, um, and than being nervous whether if you're going to mess it up and stuff like that. And I
Yeah.
think initially also, whenever I would forget some of my lines when I'm performing, I would freestyle it off, like
Okay.
trying to cover it off by freestyling those lines. So, but I think now I enjoy just being on stage as a performer because uh, I think it's if I've chosen this as a full time job, then I think I must be at least a little good at it. So I
Yeah.
enjoy being on stage now. I think that's what I've grown into.
Hmm. And what are your learnings? Like, what do you learn from doing rapping? Having your job and also pursuing your passion, and then leaving the job and then becoming a full time music creator. How does that feel? And what did you learn personally? And what are the things you would like to share with people? Yeah.
I think first is the societal pressure that you have to. I think especially with Indian kids, it's either engineering or medicine, right? I think it was the same thing that I went through,
Okay.
and uh, and at that point in time, I didn't even know that you could study music. There was sound engineering. By the time I figured out that I was sound engineering, I was already past my first year engineering, right?
Okay.
So and I, as a kid, I think I was crazy. Like I had a thing for automobiles, so I think I ended up getting into mechanical engineering, though my parents were telling me to go into IT or computer science and stuff, and I was like, dude, that thing just doesn't get through my knucklehead. So I was pretty bad with my computers. But I think when I took up mechanical engineering too, is when I think my interest towards rap and music just started increasing. But I never really, um, you know, thought about it, or never really had the guts to. Like I know a lot of musicians personally who have dropped out of college and they've pursued music. Right,
Mm.
I never had the guts to do that.
Yeah.
Right, and but I continue doing it. I realized that whatever you learn in your life, right, it never goes to waste, right? So, and after I finished my engineering, and I did work as a teacher for a year. I was teaching a couple of mechanical softwares. After that, I ended up working for Mercedes Benz, and when I went for my interview with Mercedes Benz, uh, it was totally unexpected because I picked up German. At that point, because of all the pressure and stuff, I thought, okay, I'm going to go do my master's abroad in automobile engineering, right? So I picked up German, and during the interview, I had written in my resume that I rap. I was made to rap in German,
Okay. Okay. Uh-huh.
right? And for me, during the telephonic conversation, the first round was the telephonic, right? And they told, "Oh, you rap in German? Okay, rap." And I was like, "Wait, what is happening here? Am I really giving an interview for Mercedes
Ye-
Benz?"
yeah.
And that's, I think, the first time I realized that nothing goes to waste. You know,
Mm.
everything that I've learned. Like I think I picked up a lot of people skills when I was doing my 9 to 5, and I think luckily I had good managers. One of the managers identified that I'm good with people skills and I'm able to apply whatever I learn in my music on my work, and
Mm.
vice versa. You know, so I think like from music I learned that okay, you need to put in like enough number of hours to know what you're really doing. Otherwise you're going to look like a fool, and like I would be called by music composers to work on songs, right? At that time, some of them would sit me down and they would play the music and they're like, okay, right now. And those are things I realized that okay, if you have to be spontaneous, you have to be prepared, right? And I think eventually the first time when I wanted to quit my job, right, my company was kind enough. They said, okay, you know what, you work part time. They let me work 3 days a week, and the other 4 days they let me do my music. And I even had the freedom to work not on Monday but Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So I even had that freedom. And that's when I think I learned how to balance between things.
Mm.
Then eventually I realized that you can't keep doing a balancing act if you want to do mastery over something, because there will come a point. And one of my mentors by name Andreas, he had told me when I told him that I'm doing this thing, he had told me that okay, now this is fine, now it's new for you, you will be able to balance it out and stuff like that, multitask and all that. But there will be a point where you have to take a call, whether this or
Or that.
this you know
Mm.
and when I told him about that, when I'm going to be quitting my job completely, he was the only person who was not surprised at all. He's like, remember we had this talk 3 years ago, and here we
Yeah.
are now.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Of course, I mean, there are a lot of people who still do multiple things, but I think there is no one way of doing it. I think for a person like me, I think music had to be just that. Because if you want to, even right, a lot of things I realized after I quit my job. For example, when you start putting in more time, there are a lot of things which you not just learn, but you also unlearn a lot of things.
Mhm.
And I think past 2 years have been a lot of unlearning than learning for me, because when you're doing this full time, you have to be disciplined because no one's going to watch over you, right? You have to keep a watch for yourself. You have to, if you don't work, you won't earn. It's as simple as that.
Yeah,
Like an entrepreneur,
yeah,
so all these things is what I learned. When you're in a 9 to 5, it's a very comfortable thing. And I think unless you enjoy it, don't do it. That's all I'm gonna say.
yeah, yeah. True, true. Yeah. So again, thank you very much for also, introducing your again the different side of you. That's great that you did that. And this one, this one thing happens which people don't understand, that how to balance out things on their passion and their profession. Of course, people like you or people like somebody else are lucky enough to have good managers or good uh, place they work where people are kind to them and help them. But there are people who have harsh boss and harsh managers who are not good at all. They don't care about your passion, leaving their work. There's nothing. So how do you make choices that time? What do you think? What should be your way of making choices that time when you don't have those things, luckily, which somebody has? Yeah.
I think it's not all my managers were great. You know, there
Okay.
were there were managers. I think out of one, two, three, I think 4 or 5 managers. I think two of them were really really good. Others were did give me a hard time. But I think one thing which kept me going was I was good at what I was doing. You know, with my work, with my 9 to 5, I was good with what I was doing. So I think for people who have to put up with that, bring up your game, bring your A game for whatever you're doing, right? So I would put myself in a place where they wouldn't question my work ever. They could question me because they were my bosses, but they never questioned my work because my work was always done properly. So I think these were times I would get back to them, telling them that, listen, I've done my work. Is there a problem? If not, then I don't think we need to have this discussion. I think that confidence also came to me because of music, because I would do stage performances and stuff like that. But nevertheless, right, if you're having a bad boss, or you can't keep blaming the boss for it, right? You see, you can't change the world by yourself, but you can change the situation for yourself. And I think when I could no longer continue being an engineer and also a musician, no one could help me. They couldn't be like, okay, no, you know what, take a break and come back whenever you want. I can't expect them to do that. I had to figure out that, okay, I mean, that doesn't make me great. I took my time to do it. But I think uh, if if you're not happy about it, because I think one thing I also realized the past 2 years is nothing can, as cliched as it can sound, right? Nothing beats peace of mind. I think I'm at my health is at my best. The past 2 years, and my health just got so much better. I am so much more calm in life. I'm so much more clear about what I want to do in life, all because I am doing what I love, and I have enough time to do that and think about myself.
Mm, yeah, that's really true. That's really true. Yeah. Again, yeah, what you love to do, and when you do it, of course, it helps you better, in every way. That's true. So this again, as you were speaking, you were discussing about pressure from the family and the people, relatives you have. How what was your pressure that time, and how were your parents' response when you left your job from being an engineer?
Oh, okay. So first of all, my parents don't know I've quit my job. They think I'm on a sabbatical.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. I think a lot of my family members don't know that I've quit my job because I had to do what I had to do. Uh, I think they will understand. They will all understand at one point in time. Tomorrow when I make it big, when I tell them that, listen, I quit my job 2 years ago, they'll be like, okay, now that you're successful, we don't really bother. But if I if had I told them 2 years ago, they'd be like, no, what did you do? Why do you have to do this? And they'd be under a lot of pressure, which I, again, it's not fair
Hmm.
for them,
Yeah.
is what I thought for my
Hmm.
parents. So,
Yeah.
but nevertheless, even when I told I'm taking a sabbatical, there was a war at home. They're like,
Okay.
what are you doing? You're getting old. Why you wanna, take a break from such an amazing job? You're getting to travel, because I used to get to travel to Germany quite often on my work. So you're getting to travel. You're A lot of people try to get a job like that. You have so many privileges and blah blah, the insurance, everything, all that stuff. But I was like, listen, I'm not happy with it. I need to take a break and I need to do this. I don't want to be 40 and think back that, hey, 10 years ago I could have given it a shot
Yeah.
and I didn't. So I want to do that now. If I can risk, now is the time. So of course it's going to take time, but it's definitely worth it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I think, yeah, that's yeah, you have been very intelligently playing with controlling people. That I'm still on my job, and yeah, that's really great. I think this skill, sometimes these skills are really good if people wish to I think wish to follow their passion. Again, thank you very much for sharing that trick with us also.
My pleasure.
Thank you very much, thank you very much. Yeah, so now getting into this stuff, what is your advice to people who wish to become a rapper, or make music, or anything they wish to do? What's your advice to them?
Know your history. Like, if you want to become a rapper, listen to enough number of rappers, learn how rap came into existence, how rap music evolved. Because I think now that we have access of internet, and I think the rappers in India from my era, right, we didn't have it the easy way. We had to figure it out the tough way. But I think now that you have this beautiful thing called internet, from which you can get any information, right? There are so many documentaries on rap music. There are books on rap. You know, before you go out there and say that I'm this, I'm that. Do your research about it. Listen to enough number of artists. There's always something you can learn from a rapper who's been rapping for 20, 30 years compared to a rapper who's been rapping for the past 5 years. Uh, yeah, I think my only advice is that do your research.
Okay, okay. And next question, which brings me up too, is what is an ideal rap? How do you write an ideal rap, or a rap which is which people love? Yeah. What's your
Okay.
trick? A trick you write it.
Okay, I think the biggest trick is being, I think, especially rap, your rap should be a reflection of what you are or what you
Yeah.
do.
Hmm.
And I think that's when it becomes the most relatable, because you're talking in the first person perspective, that is an experience of your own. And I think it is the most relatable when you do it that way. And when it comes to ideal rap, again, there's so okay, if it's for a beginner, I would say that try to balance out your rap verses uh, with the right kind of rhyme scheme, with the variations in the flow, and balance it out with metaphors and references and good punchlines. I think that's what I would tell them. But if I were to talk about good song, I think if you can sleep with the thought that I've done justice to the song, that's when the song is done.
Okay. 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 And what's this thing I would like to ask you is, um when you create rap every day, when you make music, what is that feeling you get? Um what do you feel while you sleep? What's that one feeling you get, and what's one thing which makes you happy at the end of the day? Personally, yeah.
I think mm, to be able to create something is a blessing, and I think having gratitude towards it is what gives me that sound sleep, that okay, I am blessed with this capability to create something of my own. And especially on days, there are days like, for example, over the weekend, me and my beat producer, we sat down, we created music, and we completed an entire song within a day. And we celebrated by the end of the day. And we were like, man, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. This is what we discussed. And, we had a drink and we said cheers. And we were like, this, now I feel I deserve this drink because we worked that day. And the whole process was fun. We just went to and fro and exchange of ideas. We ended up writing a song, an entire song. I think, yeah, I think gratitude, if I have to put it in one word.
Okay, okay. Yeah, I'm sorry for that again. Yeah, thank you very much for the sharing that also again. Yeah, this one more thing I would like to ask you about is how viable is music. I think of course YouTube and things like that do help you monetize your content and your artwork. But at the initial day, when there is a person who creates art for a reason, and then he's unable, he or she's unable to make any monetary things, how to keep yourself motivated. And the second part of question, how does musicians make money, and how can this how can you make money being a musician? Yeah.
Okay. I think to answer the first part of your question, right? Music, you are a product. So you're trying to sell your product out there, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
So as a consumer, how would you want a product to be? Like, for example, if I'm looking at a pen, right? Um, I wanted to have a nice grip. I wanted to write, the ink to flow properly when I'm writing it, right? And I want it to be a pen which I can carry anywhere,
Yeah.
right? And if I drop it, it shouldn't break. So now apply the same thing to your music, right? If you want a consumer to listen to your music, right? How good is it? Would you listen to your own rap, right? I think the same things what people do when they're bringing out a new product. It's the same thing what you have to do when you're trying to figure out your music. You know that try test things. It's okay to have and a side hustle, like say a part-time job or something, when you're figuring it out for people. Or you could be smart enough, work, have some savings, put in all your time to figure it out as to what is going to work for you. Of course, you need to put in hours, and putting in hours is no guarantee that you're going to make it in that timeline, right? So I think patience is another key, right?
Okay.
I think if you look at a lot of products which are coming out in the recent past, I think one thing which I was reading about recently was this electric scooter called Ather.
Ether. Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, so Ather, I got to know that they wanted to launch their product in 4 years, but they ended up launching it in 6 years.
Hmm.
But today, when you see, I think that is one electric scooter which is easy to spot,
Yeah. True.
right? And also, if you have test ridden one of their vehicles, you know that it's a very good product. So I think they were patient with the whole thing, and now they're out there. And I think Hero has invested in them.
Hmm.
Hero Honda, I think, has invested in them. So I think patience is a very, very big factor, because I think uh, there is a huge tendency, especially with artists, to feel, uh, that, oh man, when is it going to be for me? When is it going to be? And I think the biggest enemy is social media, because uh, it affects every single person. It's never enough. I think you see someone, and starting from the number of followers they have and the number of likes you get on a post, all those things are going to affect you. But uh, in fact, this was a demon I was able to fight during the lockdown, because I think the tendency was to wake up and check my phone and check Instagram and check YouTube and stuff and all the numbers. And I realized that in the real world I was still getting work. In the real world I was still making music. But in the stupid virtual world, I'm comparing myself with the life of another person who has his own struggle, and who's probably looking at me and probably wondering, oh, this guy's getting this kind of work, I'm not.
Hmm.
you know I
Yeah.
think social media is a pain and a boon, but I think don't start your day with it. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay, okay. Yeah, so again, yeah, that's really true. Yeah, I also remember being in an very bad checking my phone. Yeah, it has changed and things have changed with me also. And thank you for bringing that up again. And last question, Gubi, to you before ending this up. What would be your message to anybody watching this or listening this? Yeah.
If you're watching this, thank you for watching.
Yeah.
uh, and I think again, it's the most cliche thing which has been told for years. But if you love something, go chase it, man. I mean, one life, dude. You just have a couple of years. You spend half of it sleeping. The other half, you rather do what you want to do.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's really true. Yeah, you quoted it beautifully. Half you sleep and half you please do something you wish to. And yeah, again, thank you very much for being here. It was a pleasure to have you and listening to you. Um, it's kind of you for giving me your time. Again, thank you very much for being here. It was wonderful and it was a pleasure to have you. Thank you.
Thank you, Lakshit. It was wonderful. I think to share all of this with you and had a great conversation with you.
My pleasure again. Thank you.